All right, good day, everyone. My name is Matt Fifer. Welcome to Conversations on Retail. I'm so excited to welcome Steve Statler, the Chief Marketing Officer from Wiliot. And Wiliot is a company that I get really excited about every time I talk about them or dig into some of the recent work because they're not an ordinary company. And RFID is getting a lot of attention right now, but Wiliot creates postage stamp size computers that instead of sitting there passively waiting to be scanned, they're actually soaking up energy from radio waves and then broadcasting information. And growing up in retail, it's just incredibly exciting when you think about all of the potential, not only in store, but in distribution centers, and then eventually for consumers at home. So, Steve, I'm very excited to welcome you. I'm very excited to dig into sort of celebrate the past, present, and future of Wiliot. So, thanks for making the time.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Matt. I love the work that you're doing, and you did a great job of setting this conversation up. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. So Wiliot is a sensing as a service company. You design the chips, but you don't manufacture them. And it's actually sort of in Wiliot's interest to drive the cost of the chips down as low as possible. So you really focus more on monetization of the software that powers it. Talk a little bit about the company's founding, where it started in the context of retail, and then sort of catch us up to where you are today.
Yeah, well, again, you summarized what we do well. It's weird because the company was founded by these incredible engineers who were chip designers and just some of the most talented radio engineers. They pioneered the development of millimeter wave, which is basically the technology that helps 5G be faster than 4G. So they know what they're doing. But they came to their follow-up gig after their previous company looking for something meaningful to do that would make a difference. And they saw IoT had really under-delivered, the Internet of Things, connecting inventory and assets to the cloud. A lot of amazing thoughts on the vision of what it could be like if we unleash the full power of AI on the physical world. But really, we kind of been stuck in the Internet of expensive things. So yeah, we can connect a car and an appliance, but the things that we use every day, the products that we buy, the medicine that we take, the clothing that we wear, all of that is offline. And so if you look at the IoT market today, maybe 50 billion things get tagged and scanned, very often manually. But the future is an ambient Internet of Things where there are of the order of 10 trillion things connected. And we start to apply the power of machine learning and take out 50% of the capital that's tied up in a supply chain. If you do that, you completely change business models. And if you're focused on sustainability, when you cut capital, you cut carbon as well. So this is sort of bringing both the tree huggers like me together with the CFO of retailers, because we need to figure out how to drive down costs, how to beat inflation, rather than just shouting at suppliers and saying, cut your prices. So that was how it was set up. It was, let's do something meaningful to take the cost out of the Internet of Things and batteries and expensive scanners, and also the people that have to operate manual handheld scanners. That's all cost, but it also impacts visibility. The Internet of Things, as well as being expensive, has really only had snapshots of things. And a big part of where we see this technology resonating in grocery is continuous visibility, real-time visibility, and doing it without labor. So you don't require every store employee to be on their game and perfect in order to know, is the inventory in the reefer container? Is it in the car park? Is it in the back of the store? Is it in the front of the store? So it's going from a world where we kind of assume what was shipped from the DC made it to the store, to knowing exactly where it is and also how it's being handled. Has the crate of strawberries been put away in the fridge, or has someone been called away and it's been left in a really hot area on the shop floor? So all of this is
Yeah.
about adding efficiency, but also adding quality to the product, making it safer because we can trace it better. And in the future, opening up completely new retail models that make omnichannel look like a minor ripple in the water.
Yeah.
That
It
was a
would be
lot.
exciting enough if all you were able. Well, it would be exciting enough if all you were able to offer at retail was real-time visibility to location of product. So as opposed to someone having to, go through the store using RFID, then you guys still got to go find the product. Um, so you solve for that, but then you've also got the ability, if I'm not mistaken, to monitor temperature and eventually humidity. So in terms of managing sort of that cold chain from farm, not to table, but farm to store, certainly, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we can go from expiry dates that are a very coarse grain metric. We all know that expiry dates are not, it's not the Bible. It's kind of someone's guess, and we know that your mileage will vary tremendously. And if you add the temperature dimension, then basically that allows us to move to different ways of moving stock from the back of the store to the front of the store. On a good day, it's FIFO, first in, first out. But what we're now able to do is provide the data so it can be FEFO, or first expired, first out. And that's in everyone's interest. If I have something that has been sitting in a warm environment, but it has an expiry date of 1 month's time, it may make sense for me to put that out front, in front of shoppers, ahead of something that looks like it's going to expire in 2 weeks' time. And when I do that, I'm probably going to get a better tasting product, a product that lasts longer, rather than having this kind of casino a roulette wheel situation where you just don't know how long the strawberries are going to last. Are they going to, in some cases, you get them back from even some of the best retailers in the world. It's a gamble whether your fruit, your produce, especially berries, how long they're going to last. And that dissatisfaction, it not only means that people are annoyed when the product goes bad, but it also means that you end up trying to compensate for all of the handling issues by breeding strawberries to be tougher. Now, eating a tough strawberry is probably not the best thing. We've all seen those strawberries with the white inside, and you bite into it and it's not sweet and it doesn't taste good. And if we can get better visibility and avoid those handling issues and streamline the flow so that there's actually less time spent in the supply chain, we can start to dial back the varietals of strawberries that we're growing and get strawberries that actually have flavor and are sweet. And that's good for everyone. It's good for the consumer, but it also means you're going to sell more strawberries. So this is kind of, you can tell, this is the kind of thing that gets me excited. If we can make food taste better and reduce waste, then really no one loses from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk a little bit about your business model. My understanding is that a lot of your intellectual property is open source because you are so committed to the industry sort of embracing this technology. You don't manufacture your own chips. You're trying to make it easy for other companies to manufacture and drive the cost down. But what does your relationship look like with retailers, with CPG brands? I know you've got an office in Bentonville. Of course, that's where we're based. But talk about your collaboration with retailers and with big CPG.
Yeah, we actually just had our first partner conference in Bentonville last week. It was amazing, called Unplug Fest, and we brought together a whole set of tag manufacturers. So many of the tag manufacturers who are making RFID tags were there, and they're also making these, we call them IoT Pixels, because they're small and they bring light to things. And when you get a lot of them, you see this color picture as opposed to a black and white snapshot. So we had all of those coming together with the people that make the devices. So we had maybe half a dozen companies that are making the Bluetooth readers that go into the trucks and the trailers. And the great thing about those partners is we're not there to make money out of them at all. We're there to enable them. What we sell is something called the Wiliot ambient data platform. So we're basically a SaaS company. And we do charge for this cloud service, which basically orchestrates the flow of this data and turns billions of low-level Bluetooth packets into millions of events. An event might be a receiving event. It could be a shipping event. It could be a temperature excursion. It could be a stocking event. And so we use machine learning algorithms. We apply end-to-end encryption for the future. When this does go into the home, then everyone's privacy will be guarded. And also we use that encryption to implement access control so that there's a amicable agreement between the folks that are buying the tags from the third parties that make them and the folks that are consuming the data. With RFID, it's kind of a free-for-all. Not that RFID is bad. I mean, this is an amazing technology that's blazed the trail, but it isn't encrypted. And so basically, there's no negotiation about who pays for what and who accesses the data. This, with ambient IoT, we, in our data platform, enable access control. And so there can be an equitable agreement, a sharing of costs, which we ultimately feel like will allow some of the amortization of the upfront tagging costs to be spread across all of the players further down the value chain in distribution, in retail, and maybe other services. In the case of apparel, you might have a resale service where there's still more value. So when there's actual explicit control and when there's privacy, we think everyone is better off. So all of that we do charge for. And it's a small number of pennies. What we charge is probably the smallest part of the bill. If you get the bill at the end of the day, then you're going to be paying for tags and infrastructure, and our data costs will be by far the smallest part of that. We recognize that we can't be making things more expensive. We have to show that we can reduce cost and open up new revenue opportunities. So yeah, that's what the data platform does. It's basically trying to only tell people things that they're interested in at a business level and making sure that the flow of data happens in a very efficient way. If you have 100,000 items in a warehouse or a store, and they're all broadcasting their location once a second, believe me, you do not want that amount of data on your servers. Even if you have the people to write the algorithms to distill it, the cost of distilling real-time data from everything in your supply chain is overwhelming. So we take care of that with distributed technology and scale, and that's basically a cost to us, and that's what we charge our customers. And our customers can be, generally today it's the retailers, but it can be the food manufacturers, the producers, and ultimately we think there's going to be lots of value along the life of a product where people won't think twice about paying for visibility and insights when they can cut the cost of labor, cut the cost of fuel, cut the cost of shipping, reduce out of stocks, improve customer lifetime value. We think that the ROI will be overwhelming, but overwhelmingly good. But to be frank, it takes, our first customers are the very largest retailers in the world. And it takes a certain amount of sophistication to kind of get it and to be the early adopter. But the thing that I'm looking forward to is when this becomes much more commoditized and we start making this available more broadly and it can then impact people's businesses and people's lives in a much more widespread way than it can do, albeit with some very large retailers, but a small number of them.
Yeah. I think the tendency among a lot of you know, service and big solution providers at retail is you start with the smaller chains and you work your way up. But really the only hope that Wiliot has of creating an industry standard is to really capture the attention of the great big retailers and drive that adoption, right?
You're right. I mean, that's definitely our strategy. And believe me, we've tried every way of getting it wrong until we stumbled into getting it right. So we started selling our technology in kits and to hundreds and hundreds of developers. And we figured out that you really need to start with the people that are establishing best practice, that are organizing the flow of goods through the ecosystem. But there is another thing that we're investing in, which I think is a balance to that, and that's standards. So today we use Bluetooth, and it's out of the box Bluetooth. So any phone with Bluetooth can be used to read our tags. You still need very low cost devices that cost of the order of $50 to energize the tags. But any smart speaker, any phone, any Wi-Fi access point with a Bluetooth radio in, which they all do, can read our tags. But this idea is very powerful. This idea of ambient IoT, of having everything around us that we want to track, and then all of the radios that surround us, reusing those. Is very powerful. And so it's now gone beyond Bluetooth. And so we're very actively working with the Wi-Fi and cellular standards bodies, with the IEEE and 3GPP, GSMA. And there are literally hundreds of companies collaborating in that process. And so over the next few years, you'll start to see these postage stamp size active radios with sensing, real-time tracking that can talk direct to a Wi-Fi access point, not via the Bluetooth radio, but natively over the Wi-Fi radio. And that's going to bring some of the giants of enterprise IT into the game, the Ciscos, the HPs, the Ruckus and Juniper Mist and so forth, which is going to be cool. And then when the cellular comes out, when the cellular version of this, where this is talking to all of the distributed antenna systems in large sporting facilities and hotels and the small cell that surround us these days. That's going to bring, the real giants of technology. You go to an RFID conference today, and it's a kind of an insider game. Most of the names of the companies you wouldn't recognize, but when you get, the giants of the telco business, the carriers who are getting $50 a month from almost every adult and many adolescents. You get all the people that make the phones. When they are actually supporting this directly, then the level of marketing and education and ecosystem building will increase by 2 or 3 orders of magnitude, because the amount of money and the scale that they have is amazing. But we don't have to wait for that. It works on Bluetooth today, but that is coming. And that's why we're very bullish about going from millions to billions to trillions of these IoT sensors.
Yeah, I know Wiliot talks in terms of leading the parade, and so what does the future look like in terms of optimization of retail stores, optimization of supply chains, and then how it sort of directly touches consumers over time with smart speakers in homes and all that sort of thing. What is the sort of the big vision for the future look like?
Well, it's a great question, and you're tempting me to get into this sort of incredible Jetsons type conversation, and I'm going to go there. But I want to just start off by reminding people that there is an ROI today. We don't have to do everything that this technology can do in order to get some real benefits. So today, most of the grocery industry is shipping things with assumed receipt. So there's a scan at the DC, and then everyone hopes and assumes that the product's going to get to the right place at the right time. And we all know that that does not always happen, and there's human beings involved. So the thing that's driving our business is actually confirmed receipt of pallets and cases. We don't even need to get down to the item level. And to be frank, our tags, ambient IoT tags, are halving in cost at every generation, more than halving. But today, if you look at our current generation and the generation we're going to be launching in January of next year, which is going to be called 3.0, that cost is still, the tag cost is probably double of RFID. So today in grocery, and this is industry specific, if you want item level scanning, then you're probably going to be using good old Gen 2 RAIN RFID. But case level and pallet level, that the cost of a 10 or 20-cent tag is really, that's affordable. And the benefits of knowing where it is in real time and not only getting confirmed receipt, but knowing, is it in the back of the store or has that case of beans or detergent been taken out to the front of the store? That is really one of the core use cases. And the ability to generate not just shipping events, but receiving events. That's what you need for your compliance with Food Safety Modernization Act, FSMA 204, deadlines coming January the 20th, 2026. And, if you look at another parallel industry, hard goods, shipping hard goods online, then we're doing item level tracking, but we're doing item level tracking of things like televisions and that sort of stuff. And there's a tremendous ROI there for online retailers. And we're also using the tags today for returns. So returns is kind of the dark underbelly of the retail industry. It's a necessary thing. We're all buying online, and online retailing would come to a halt if you couldn't return things. But the fact is, most returns make a very slow path back and often never get back because of shrink, theft, and just loss. So what we're seeing is a huge uptake of our tags today, track those, and the loss shrinks. So those are practically, and in other verticals like post and parcel, we can help save the postal services around the world by giving real-time visibility, and hopefully that will mean we'll still have a post person delivering our mail. Where is it going to go? That is super interesting. I'm talking to the folks at Gartner about a concept that they coined called omniscient retail. So kind of a godlike view. What happens to retail when you have a godlike view of inventory? And, to be frank, I think some major changes. And we've already been doing some pilots with some very smart people on smart packaging in the home for consumables that essentially give you the Amazon Dash button, the auto replenish button, or the Amazon subscription service. But rather than finding that you've got like 6 containers of corn peppers or sugar because you kind of got the subscription wrong, this would be just-in-time replenishment of everything in your spice rack, everything in your pantry, and demand signals that are not based on what's sold, but what is being consumed. It's a hot day. Suddenly everyone's drinking more of one drink versus another drink. So all of those demand signals can help inform the supply chain, but they can also shake up the snow ornament. And when the snow settles, you could find that there are different players that are doing that replenishment. A change to a world where you've got active packaging for consumables in the home. Obviously, Walmart and Amazon are in prime position to go there, but this would be very disruptive to their business model. So, my expectation is there's going to be new players that come in there that start to use this new technology, can run super fast, and they'll have a fulfillment issue. But guess what? Our shopping malls are full of distressed assets. There is space near to people's homes where you could stage the groceries and other consumables so that people can get just what they need and no longer have duplicates of parsley and garlic and find that they're missing something and other things expired. So, there's a future where you have a much richer set of personalized items in your pantry and a relationship maybe with the company that you're visiting today, but maybe someone new. And so the timing of that and how we move to omniscient retail as opposed to just plain old easy, he said sarcastically, omnichannel retail is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I promised you I would keep to 30 minutes. I could talk to you all afternoon, but I'm going to keep that promise. Steve Statler, Chief Marketing Officer of Wiliot. I love everything about your company. I love that you're an Israeli-based company. I love your forward, thinking and your desire to lead the parade with respect to innovation. And I love your passion for sustainability. And so thank you so much for making the time, and congratulations to you and to your team on your continued success. And I certainly look forward to following you and supporting you any way that I can. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. And I just want to say education is super important. And you have such an amazing role in doing that. But also everyone has a chance to, let's think about it. Let's talk about it. Let's have a dialogue. It's going to take an ecosystem, and sessions like this really help. So thanks for shining a light on us, Matt.
Yeah, very good. Steve Statler, have a great weekend. Talk to you again soon.